Hey MJ traders and investors, it's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for an MJ Sector check-in. And in today's video, we're going to do a deep dive on the cannabis space and what to expect in the week ahead. And we'll discuss whether or not we should buy the dip. So before we jump into today's content, make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to go over some news and events. Then we'll look at the Canadian MJ sector and then the US. And we'll do a deeper dive on some of the weekly charts here as well. So Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is pushing for marijuana reform, and it's been embraced so far, but stiff challenges await. So you can read this on your own time, but I'll just read a quick blurb here. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's commitment to make federal marijuana reform a priority sent cannabis stocks surging last week and thrilled advocates, but experts caution that high hurdles persist for comprehensive legislation to pass Congress. So it's going to be interesting to see if this can happen in 2021, if they can rush it. Also notice that cannabis CEOs targeted by Reddit are pushing back in a tweet storm. So obviously cannabis stocks and the Canadian cannabis stocks for the most part have been targeted for short squeezing. And that's because they are listed on major exchanges and people like on Robinhood and retail traders can buy them, and they can't buy the MSOs because they're not on uplisted exchanges. So they're not on registered exchanges. And you can see here, a Reddit fueled mania has sent cannabis soaring and crashing back down in recent days. Leader of some of the marijuana industry's biggest companies are now joining a Twitter movement that's pushing back with hashtags. The tag is MSO gang. So the movement behind the hashtag has also pitted individual investors against big ones, bringing some tension between conservative institutional investors who haven't gotten into the U.S. cannabis stocks because of ongoing regulatory uncertainty. Canadian companies have traded in tandem with U.S. ones, in part because they're a legal way of institutional investors to take part in U.S. cannabis, making them something of a proxy in regulatory uncertainty. But many investors say that this year, as the prospects for more U.S. legalization and recreational cannabis pick up, there's no longer an equivalence between stocks in the two countries because Canadian companies don't have a clear path to sell their products to the US's much larger market, even if legalization effort gains momentum. So again, we're starting to see more narrative of the Canadian companies aren't going to be able to get their products across the border. So expect some potential FUD in regards to that. And again, that's why I said I'm starting to slowly shift away from investing and swing long-term in Canadian MJ now that we've seen a couple 100% gain and Tilray up like 600% in a matter of days. Just absolutely insane. So I'm going to be shifting my focus to MSOs, and I've already started to do so. So Aurora reports lower sales off adult use cannabis. So they're seeing a decrease in market share for recreational sales, and we'll see if other LPs gained market share. We have Hexo reporting next month as well. So that'll be interesting to see if they gained some of that market ground on them. And I did a video on Aurora earnings. You can check that out as well. And I'll also do timestamps in this video so that you guys can jump ahead and as necessary. So cannabis topicals make big gains around Valentine's Day. Beverages and edibles also see a bump. So I found that interesting. Bath bombs, massage oil / lube, transdermal products. Let me know in the comments below if you bought your significant other something of that nature for Valentine's Day. I wouldn't mind getting a bath bomb or something. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe get one for the girlfriend, and maybe I'll get two. So moving on, taking a look at the Canadian space. So CGC, pretty nasty reversal candle here on the weekly. We did get above resistance at 52. We got fairly close to all-time highs after a massive short squeeze. And I remember doing videos back down here when we changed the monthly trend. And that was the first time that happened since all-time highs. We saw a bull cross of these weekly EMAs. And then zooming out to the monthly, sorry, that was the weekly trend being changed. The monthly here, you can see it was the first time since all-time highs with the low, high, higher, low. And then as soon as we broke this high here at around 22.20, we changed that monthly trend. And since then, we haven't formed a monthly high or low. So we have no support on the monthly down till 1383. We had this bull cross of the EMAs on the monthly and just sent the stock into orbit. And like I said, it came within a few dollars from the all-time high. An absolute monster move. We're seeing a significant sell-off. And again, this is why I did multiple videos stressing the importance of having a game plan. What are you going to do if we start to see weekly consolidation? And right now, this is a potential weekly bull flag. We have pulled back a little bit more than we would actually like to see, but it is still a potential weekly bull flag. We wouldn't want to see it drop much more than this, but at this point, that's a pretty nasty reversal. So we could see some more selling next week. What if SPY? We've already started weekly consolidation in MJ, so not in Canadian MJ for the most part, so not in a good position if SPY shows any sign of weakness next week. If SPY, the S&P 500, is weak next week, we could easily be heading down to the 33 or the $26 level. We have the weekly higher low support down here at 24.05. That's a long ways away, but we're still in a weekly uptrend. So from here, we can still pull back another 40% essentially and still be in a weekly uptrend, just looking for weekly higher lows. Monthly's in an uptrend. The monthly from here, we could pull back. Whoops. So from the monthly here, we could pull back essentially 66% and still be in a monthly uptrend. So again, this is why you need to develop a plan. And when we lost these daily higher lows here from this daily bull flag, that's when you needed to start questioning yourself if you were still in that trade. Even from that loss of that higher low support, from that, you would have saved yourself an extra 10%. So if you were one of the unlucky ones who entered here after the daily bull flag confirmed, you're playing with fire at that point. We were daily overbought. We had run hundreds of percent, and we didn't form any weekly higher lows from all the way down here at $24. So it was time to start scouting shorts. And I even mentioned the day before Tilray sold off 50%, it was time to start scouting entries and short entries. If you don't trade short, you can always go to cash and just rebuy cheaper. And again, none of this is financial advice. It's just my own personal opinion and for entertainment purposes only. And whether or not you decide to act on that is completely up to you. And you're the one hitting the buy and sell button or setting stop losses. You need to be the one that sets targets and have a plan so that when you see these huge drops of $10, $20 or 30, 40%, you have a plan and you're not reacting just in the spur of the moment type of thing and letting the emotions get the best of you. So at this point, we are consolidating on the weekly, so we need to change the daily trend back to an uptrend to be confident that the daily higher low or weekly higher lows are set. We are bouncing off EMA 26 here, so we are trying to save that here. Bulls did buy the dip here. We do have a bigger upper wick on the daily, but we topped out right at EMA 12. And at this point, we could be opening up in an inside bar on Tuesday. Monday is closed in the stock market. So on Tuesday, we could be seeing an inside bar depending on how we open. Obviously, that could change if we gap down on news or gap up on news, or we see SPY weakness or SPY strength, and the overall correlation, whether it be bullish or bearish, follows through. So we'll expect an inside bar, and we'll want to break the high of today, which was 42.70 on Tuesday, to be confident that the daily bounce is underway. And then we'll be looking for hourly trend changes as the first step. So we need to change these hourly trends. And you can see here at the low, 38.14 is our hourly support. We had the high here at 42.69. So now we're trying to form an hourly higher low compared to 38.14. And a break of 42.69 would give us that hourly trend change. So we'll look to that into Tuesday. That's going to be the most important thing right now is the hourly trend changes. And then we'll scout daily trend changes. And then at that point, we'll be back in a hourly uptrend, daily uptrend, weekly uptrend, monthly uptrend. You get the picture. So we'll just take a look at the weekly chart here for CGC. So again, we're still above the 10-week moving average down at $32. The stochastic is bearish, but the MACD is still remaining bullish at this point. So the macro trend is still bullish and weekly bull flags are a possibility. If we take a look at the moving averages, we're still well above the 50, 100, and the 200 weekly moving average, which are all the way down here at around $25. So that is a long ways away. Taking a look at the daily moving averages. So on the daily, we are well above the 50, 100, and the 200. The MACD is starting to cross bearish. So that's notable, but the RSI has cooled off significantly, pretty much touching the median line here. So we will take a look at the 20-period daily moving average. So you can see we bounced off of that 20 daily moving average as well. VWAP and the 50-day moving average way down. And on the weekly, VWAP is the only closest support down at $29 essentially. So a long ways away yet. We'll see if bulls can buy the dip. But again, what's going to happen if SPY sees weakness? So personally, I'm just scaling in. And I bought a bit more Hexo today. I bought some MSOs, some Cura. I bought CL. I bought BAM, a few other ones as well. And I'm slowly shifting my focus over to the US market. Aside from Hexo, I think Hexo is going to do really well. And they'll benefit from their partnership with Molson Coors in the United States, which they're already rolling out in Colorado and soon to be other states. But essentially getting away from the large Canadian LPs and shifting focus over to the US MSOs. And I will be scaling in. I will trade. Today we had huge bounces on CGC. So let's just take a look at the day today, how we opened. So we knew we were extended to the downside yesterday off ACB into ACB earnings. And then today we saw a weak open for ACB. We saw a gap down here in CGC and on most names. So we'll just see that everybody gap down. And we had some huge bounces. Hexo bounced, I think, 20% from the lows, essentially up 19%. APHA had a massive bounce from its lows, up over 30% from the low of the day. And this is why I said watch for hourly extreme conditions going into tomorrow off of the earnings reaction of Aurora. If we saw a negative earnings reaction, we were already hourly oversold. And then when we opened the day today, we opened hourly oversold and bulls bought the dip. And that's when we saw a bounce of 30%. So hourly oversold, we hadn't been hourly oversold from that huge bull move and short squeeze. So hourly oversold, you better believe there was a lot of people willing to buy that dip for a quick flip or even to scale in. Like I said, if you're entering now, you're chasing and you're waiting for these big pullbacks and hourly oversold or daily consolidation or even weekly consolidation, which we're seeing now. So we'll take a look at some other names here. We'll take a look at the bear list. So TGOD was down, ACB, SNDL, still above $2 though. High Tide, Tilray Labs leading the decline on the bull list. We had N, Namaste, RIV, NSP, PCLO, OGI, VFF, Cron, and APHA. But nasty weekly reversal candle there as well on APHA. But hasn't started its weekly consolidation. ACB hasn't started its weekly consolidation. CGC has, but bulls bought the dip, trying to save it there. Cron hasn't. Fire hasn't. Hexo hasn't. High Tide, long ways away from daily weekly consolidation at this point. OGI, what a range on that weekly candle. Not even close to weekly consolidation at this point. SNDL, not even close. Looks very similar to OGI. Tilray, wow. I feel bad for anybody who got trapped up here because we warned and we warned and we warned, but we kept seeing everybody saying, you know, we're long-term hold, long-term hold, long-term hold. And that's fine as long as you're not rattled by the fact that you you didn't sell the other day, right? If you're rattled and you were saying that you were going to hold long term, then that was probably just an excuse that you were telling yourself because you were in a bad trade. But if you're not, if you're not in the dumps right now because it's down this much and you're holding long term, then kudos. If that's part of your plan, then great. You're not worried about any dips. You're just kind of in it for the long haul. But 60%, you could have easily reloaded even 10, 20, 30% cheaper just on the loss of the daily higher low. We had a gap, 2 gaps. I mentioned as well, 2 gaps in the chart, which we filled. Look exactly where we filled it. Usually gaps get filled. It's just a matter of time. So that's where we stand in terms of Canadian MJ. So we're going to be watching hourly uptrends first and foremost going into Tuesday. Then we'll zoom out to the daily, and then we'll zoom out to, well, that's all we need. We'll be in an uptrend on all those time frames, including the weekly and the monthly. So MSOS hasn't started weekly consolidation yet either. So definitely standing out as stronger. And we did close the day about 0.5% green here. We have increasing bull volume. Bit of an upper wick though, so we'll see if we see any consolidation next week. Again, SPY is likely going to dictate it. It's very correlated to SPY. If we take a look at the last couple of days, you can see that we are still a daily bull flag at this point. So let's just do a quick, and I pointed that out as well multiple times, that we had a higher low every single candle pattern for about 10 days in a row. And as soon as we lost this low, that was the signal to bail. So as soon as we lost 52.25, if you would have exited at that point, you would have been able to reload about $2 cheaper. And at this point, we're still a daily bull flag, just like SPY. So it's very correlated to SPY. If you're in MSOS or any of the major MSOs, you need to be watching what SPY is doing on Tuesday. So that's going to be crucial. And hourly uptrends are going to be crucial as well. So let's just take a look here. So 50.50 was the low. We had a high here at 51.94. We did form a higher low compared to 50.50. We had a low of 50.67. So you could say that we changed the hourly trend. Wasn't a huge bounce and a pivot point. So to be absolutely confident, if you're very patient and you're a patient bull and you want to be extremely confident that this low is in, you could wait for a break of the high here of 53.17. If we break 53.17, then it's safe to say that those lows are in and daily higher lows are set. Then we'll look up to 55 and all-time highs. But not a bad entry here into the end of the day. We'll see if we can continue hourly consolidation on Tuesday. And there might be a nice support entry play off of 50.50 with a stop below 50 psychological. But we did lose the EMAs into the end of the day. Let's just bring up MSOS here just to get a gauge for the US sector. So we don't have a whole lot of data on there because it is a fairly new ticker. Nothing there either, so we'll have to look at the daily moving averages at this point. So we have the 50-day moving average down at 41.08, which is still a long ways away. So bulls are hoping for this daily bull flag to play out into next week. And again, a nice entry there, trying to nail the daily bull flag with a stop below 50. And you could live to see that daily bull flag play out. So I think MSOS, and as long as SPY cooperates next week, we should see more all-time highs in my opinion. But we have been riding the VWAP on the weekly, and on the daily time frame, we have the 20 daily moving average down here at 47, basically. So if we do break the lows here and lose 50, we'll likely expect a drop. We also have previous resistance here and all-time high at 47.55. So that could be a nice support entry as well. So if you entered, set your stop below 50. If you get triggered and stopped out, you could re-enter around 47, 46, 50. and try to nail that higher low. But if we do lose the low here and negate that daily bull flag, then we will likely form a equilibrium and tightening range. And again, that could all change with news, or if SPY rolls over, we'll have to keep an eye on that. We also have stimulus checks potentially coming out, but that could be months before people actually see the money. So on the weekly, increasing bull volume, we're in weekly uptrends, monthly monthly, we've just been going straight up since inception. So no monthly uptrend there yet. Daily uptrends, scouting daily higher lows. So again, need to change those hourly trends on most of these names. So we'll just take a look at the bear list. MJNA, CXXI, VREO led the way down today. And CXXI, I did a video a couple weeks ago, called it out, said nice entry there off EMA 12, which has been rock solid for most MJ. And sure enough, we saw the weekly bull flag and continuation. So congrats to the bulls there who took advantage of that call out. Taking a look at the bull list. So KBEV, this is one that I've been recommending as well. We had support at 4 cents. We had the high at 7.5, a double top, formed a double bottom. So came off a double top, double bottom, and then I entered at 5 cents. I entered again at 8 cents once we broke above 7.5. So I've got an average of about 6.5, 7 cents, 6, 7 cents, and I'm up, I think, about 150%. It was close to 200% there at one point. But what I did was I sold half when we got to, I think it was $13. So basically, whenever I was about 100% gained, once I had 100% gains, I sold my original buy-in, and then I rode the profits. So essentially just in a free trade. So KBEV in a weekly double bottom, double top. You could call that a weekly uptrend, I guess. And then on the daily time frame, we changed that daily trend, and that was a nice signal as well. So KBEV, I really like them. They could be potentially announcing some news. They've had a lot of volume, so going to be keeping an eye on that one. Ian up 17%, BAM up over 14% today. I added to my BAM position. We had a daily inside bar bull break and a nice bounce, trying to form a base of support here off EMA 12 after holding EMA 26. Just had earnings not that long ago. We had a weekly inside bar break bullish as well. Huge volume on the weekly. So I really like BAM here. If we can get over $1, it is going to be on like Donkey Kong. But that's pretty much where we stand. Just taking a look at some of the big MSOs. So I did add to Cura today and yesterday as well. So again, daily holding up much better than the Canadian counterparts. And again, that's because the Canadian stocks have run 600-700% in a matter of days, and the US MSOs have been just slow and steady grind up, not seeing a huge gain, maybe 5% in a day, 8% in a day, 2%, but just slow and steady grind up. So the harder they run, the harder they fall. And in this case, didn't run as hard and didn't fall as hard. So also added to CL. CL holding a bit better here, still a potential daily bull flag like SPY. So again, SPY is going to be extremely important on Tuesday. GTII broke to a higher high. Daily bounce was underway, but closed back down in the middle of that range. TrueLeaf closed about 0.5% green. And daily bull flag, again, very correlated to SPY and very similar to MSOS. So I'm using MSOS as a gauge for USMJ because it's uplisted, it's on a major exchange, so it has a higher influx of capital. And I'm using CGC as the benchmark for Canadian cannabis for the most part. So that's pretty much where we stand. And going to end the deep dive there. And let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you're swinging any names, what names you're bullish and bearish on going into next week. Are you going to start focusing on the shift into US cannabis and start just more trading and day trading, swing trading Canadian cannabis? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you with that. Thanks for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth for a MJ Sector review. And we'll see you next week on Tuesday. Enjoy your long weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday for another daily market recap. Take care, everybody.